All right, welcome everybody to the Sun River Service District Managing Board meeting 5. Having called to order, our first item on the agenda, as always, is the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's stand and address the flag. It's back over here now. With feeling, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will do the roll call. Director Stevens. Present. Director Zook. Here. Director Shoemaker. Here. Director Kelly. Here. I see Administrator Snyder. Here. And Chair is present as well. We have a quorum. Full on, even for the holiday season. At this time, we will take any public input. Seeing none in the room, do we have anybody online? Seeing none, we will keep moving. All right, on the consent agenda, item 1, I believe we have 2 of the 3 items. So item A and B are correct, Mindy?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, we do not have a C. Items A and B are in your packet, although they got there briefly. And they're printed in front of you. Did everybody get a chance to do a quick review of that?
A few minutes if everybody would like.
Does everybody need a minute?
1 second.
Okay. We'll give it to you.
Okay.
I won't sing. I might hum.
Expensive, aren't they? They take a lot of time. I wonder they took a lot. All right, go ahead.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve items 1A and B on the consent agenda.
We'll move.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens? Director Zook? Yep. Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes. All right, we're on to old business. Item number 2, the public safety building. Doug Nelson's not available today. I will, Mindy and I will run various aspects. Public safety building construction update, item A or 2A. We are down now to two parallel paths on most of the construction that we are doing. There are still some closeout items that Kirby Nagelhot needs to do. The big one is the rework of the exhaust system in the apparatus bay. But there are a couple of smaller items that they do. I and former Director Ralston are a small sub-team that are working with Kirby as well as with PM Nelson to track the, I'm going to say 20 plus items of various sizes that are still on the closeout list for Kirby. You will see in a little bit, and we'll talk about it. We are going to release a significant portion of the retainage to Kirby so that they can pay out the retainage to their subs. But we are retaining a chunk into the new calendar year to make sure that they do meet those closeout items. The second, any questions on that?
What's the percentage approximately of what we're paying out versus what we're withholding?
80-20, we're paying 80% out. And that's rough.
And do you believe the remaining 20 is sufficient motivation to have them close out 20 remaining items?
It's a couple $100,000. So yeah, it's a nice chunk of incentive. And we'll get to that when we hit the retainage payment. And then the second path that we are doing is there are some certain things that we are pulling in-house. The lock system on the police department in the Hart area is one. The south apron would be another. The decon floor refinish and refit are some other things. So those we are pulling in-house. They are things that will not be performed by Kirby or they might be performed by the subs, but that would be for warranty reasons. Otherwise, they'd go to an open bid process. But we don't need to work them through Kirby and pay the premium on that. So we're going to be bringing those in-house, and both chiefs have graciously agreed to be able to take those on. And then we'll get to the budget adjustment here in a minute, but we did bring a budget adjustment to the county that we'll talk about today. And that gives us some room to actually do some of these deferred projects moving in through the rest of our fiscal year. So that's the safety. Anything, chiefs, any project that is on your radar that I didn't mention that's high profile?
I think the exhaust system. So we got the transponders which go on the apparatus. And so Nick from the shops is installing those as we speak. He's picking them off as he can. Now that we're going into winter, a priority for him is going to become the plows and all of that for SROA. So he's putting those on. Once those are all installed, then I'll get a hold of Kenny at Kirby, and then we'll get with the company that we contracted with. There's a panel that they need to install that communicates with the transponders for the exhaust system. So when we turn on the apparatus, then it opens up the dampers and all of that. So hopefully we'll have everything completed mid-January-ish. We're at the mercy of Nick now installing the transponders. The panel is not in yet either. It's supposed to come in the first part of January. So
On order still, yeah.
hopefully we'll have it done in January. So
The key on this is right now, I think basically just the dampers are open and the fans are running in the app bay. So it's a little chilly in there. So we do want to get this done as soon as possible. And then I don't think there's anything big over on PD side.
No, other than the security and the detention facility, I think the only thing that we're still working on really is just the access through the gate systems. You work in the remotes, and there might be some modification to the keypads to make it a little easier for them to reach.
Mm-hmm. Okay, additional questions on building construction? All right, if not, let's talk about the Fund 717 budget adjustment. I'll actually turn it over to Administrator Holliday to run through the basics of this, and then I can help answer questions if necessary.
Yeah, so this was in the packet from Monday's joint meeting. Because of that discussion, it went pretty fast yesterday at the county commissioners meeting. But basically just talking about how we did not receive the KNCC closeout expense in enough time to process for last fiscal year. And so moving those funds that were for last fiscal year to this fiscal year to pay out that, which we knew after the budget was approved that we'd have to go for a budget adjustment for that. So during that time as well, there was a few projects that have been deferred that we kind of added and changed a few of the line items for 717, including increasing the line item for dogs fees to cover the extra time, and then also construction to add in a few of these other projects. So they're a little bit more conclusive of the actual finance or the actual expenses we're going to see next fiscal year. So we figured we'd just do that all at the same time. And so it just went pretty smooth, and the board or the county commissioners approved it. You'll see in the financials, it's not yet reflected in the financials though when we go through that. So for December, those financials will show the adjustment.
Yeah, so normally we would do a courtesy check with this board to make sure that everybody sees it and understands what's going on. We had an opportunity to get it to the county along with 7 or 8 other pretty significant budget adjustments yesterday. But we did have this in the packet for Tuesday, so everybody hopefully got a chance to look at it before we submitted it to the county. There's in the range, and again, rough numbers, there's in the range of about $250,000 for deferred projects that are in here. So again, that would be South Apron, the door. Ag-based system is actually covered by Kirby, so that's a separate thing. The decon floor. So we do have some opportunity for other projects should they arise to be able to address this fiscal year. And I guess we'll talk about the reserve study later. And we should be pretty close on the numbers to actually be able to have the reserve study done, but I don't think those numbers are in yet.
I haven't received those yet.
So yeah, so we'll report on those. Yeah, Randy.
And Denny, I was talking about what's the status on the painting of the downspouts and the second floor beams? Is there a way they wanted you to do?
The second floor beams, Mr. Ralston and I were up applying a sample coat.
I remember that. And
Today, well, we did a sample coat a couple weeks ago, that was found insufficient.
it didn't match.
Got a new color, that went on today.
Oh, okay.
There's a chance if you stand up, you can see, on the front of the column, you can see a patch about this long.
Oh, okay. It wasn't there a couple days ago when I looked. So
Yeah, that was our test, and then we've also submitted a test. So the Form E, John was walking over to submit the Form E for that and for the new downspout color today, which means it would get taken up in 2 weeks by the design committee. So
Are you going to contract that out, or are you going to do it in-house?
remains to be seen. Probably the columns we can do in-house. I don't know about the downspouts. We might hire someone to do that. That needs a ladder. I'm shocked though that you don't like our purple downspouts.
And like the White House.
There was conversation that maybe we should just leave them and annoy some people, but we want to be good neighbors.
And also just to note for the budget adjustment, my concerns about getting that done prior to paying any of the expenses, that's been met. So you'll see moving forward, items C and D are the October and November expenses, because those were not approved in November. The October expenses weren't in November. So now that those funds have been appropriated,
Right.
we can move forward on those if the board chooses.
I was actually going to talk about that, but before we segue to that, are there any questions on the budget adjustment?
Can you just clarify for me, is this a shift from fiscal year to fiscal year? What is this?
So what happened was, last year in fiscal 25, we had, which closed end of June 25, we had expected Kirby to draw, all of their retainage, and it's 850 or somewhere in that range. I don't have the exact number off my head. But we had expected Kirby to absorb all of that. So that was in our fiscal 25 budget.
By absorb, you mean?
That they were going to take it.
Got it.
Basically that we were going to close out the project. We were just waiting for the paperwork. The paperwork never got done, in part because some of the maintenance and warranty projects that also did not get done. And we won't get into any of the reasons around that. It's just, it didn't get done. In the meantime, we submitted a fiscal 26 budget, and the fiscal 26 budget had a net working capital start as well as an assumption that Kirby had already been paid out. So that money was out of our net working capital, which was not true and required an adjustment. And then also assumed that Kirby had been paid, which was not true and required an adjustment. So then we, what we did do last year that was reflected in the 25 and in the 26 budgets was we did a end of fiscal year $500,000 transfer from 715 to 717 to kind of prime the reserves and deferred maintenance bucket. So that did happen, but we had not allocated any of that money. It was sitting unallocated in 717. So the 717 budget adjustment was one, reflecting the Kirby payout, two, adjusting the beginning net working capital as a result of that, and then allocating some portion of the 500K plus the additional 150 or so that we had in reserve or in the fund already, allocating some of that to projects for fiscal 26.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
And a lot of the adjustments yesterday, it's, we're about 6 months in, so everyone's audit's done. So then it's best practice to then, if the beginning networking, you just kind of guess when you're budgeting, so you get that identified. And so it's kind of a lot of cleanup for a lot of people's funds, but basically just moving money.
I mean, there was a lot of networking capital adjustments. I will say, and it's worth noting, the county has its own budget issues that it's working with. It's capped out on its collections, and the general fund is strained in a couple of different ways. And there were 4 or 5 different departments that came in and actually cut heads. I believe that all the heads that they cut were vacant heads. But typically in the county, if you want to, well, even, and here as well, if you want to add a head, it's a financial effort and requires some meetings and some discussion. So you usually don't lightly cut those heads, but that tells you how serious the county's getting about trying to figure out how to save their budget. We got some comments back a couple times yesterday about, in our meeting with Sun River the other day, they were talking about, staying diligent on expenses. So the work that we're doing down here is recognized. All right, moving to C, since we're halfway there already. So we have an October 2025 funding requests. These are basically, these two items are both for work that has already been completed. So the total is $14,300.33, $37.80 to Nelson Capital, and $10,520.33 to Bridgetown Builders for the shower door installs that they did for police and fire. Director Holliday, or Administrator Holliday, sorry, I tried to demote you. Administrator Holliday noted we had decided not to take this up in our November meeting because we didn't have the money allocated. So now that that money is allocated in the budget adjustment, we're pulling this up. Questions?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Well, because of the time it took for this to happen, and I'm not pointing any fingers because that's not what happened here, but are we facing any penalties for late payment?
We are not on either of those, although Bridgetown is a small company and would like to see its check soon. So I believe we will get that written tomorrow and he's going to come pick it up.
And I'm not worried, these are not huge amounts. But,
yeah.
But for future reference, I'm just curious, and I know it has a lot to do with Kirby and the numbers and getting everything.
Yeah.
So that's only my concern.
Well, the first question I would ask is, from a finance policy, what's our net on bill payment? Is it 30 or 45 days?
30 days, but I also verbalized to PM Nelson for a couple months that this was coming and that if there is any concerns, he would be the one on point to take up those payments.
I did see hey, we'd really like our payment email come through from Bridgetown the other day. So so we're probably 35 days on that. So, but he is taking it the right way. We do want to get it paid, so we will get that check written tomorrow, but otherwise there's no penalties there. As far as the upcoming stuff goes, all of that is well within the 30 days. So assuming we approve it this month, we'll be well within our financial policy. Does that answer your question?
Yep, just trying to make sure we're on point.
Oh, yeah. It's, we all would like our district to have a good reputation for paying our bills and rewarding the work done.
But I would like to point out that was outside of the district's hands in order.
Right, yeah, that's why I gave you that.
Thank you, yes.
To begin with.
Yeah, but it was amazing how that choice has moved things along.
Yes.
So
We did excite the fire under the steam can, yes.
no, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it at the expense of the district either.
Okay. So as far as item C goes, I would entertain a motion for our funding request in the total of $14,333.
I move to approve the funding request of $14,300.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens?
Yes.
Director Zook?
Yes.
Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes. We're now on to item D. So that would be this month's request, and you have a separate packet for that in your board. We wanted to make sure that we kept them separate. So there are a few things in here. So again, playing the role of Doug. So there's a KMB invoice in the amount of $427.35. So if you recall, KMB is our architect. We have paid out most of their stuff, but there are still some funds remaining for travel and expenses. This $427.35 very specifically was for Sean, who came out for one of our closeout meetings for Kirby, and you can see the expenses in your packet. We have an Everett invoice of $94.49.41. Nelson Capital is $44.80. And if you're noting the differences, we've been paying them by the hour, which is one of the reasons why it's okay if he's not at the meetings anymore, because that's saving us money. And then we have a Mountain Sky invoice in the amount of $660.74. And then the big check is the Kirby invoice, and it's $719.65.47. And that's basically retainage for services rendered. And like I said, it's mostly Kirby paying out the subs their retainage. So we still have, I want to say it's around 180,000. Again, I don't have the numbers right in front of me of their money that we're still holding. So it's not quite 80-20, it's probably 85-15 for your other question. But are there any questions on any of those invoices? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we pay the funding requests in the amount of $734,882.97.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I will call for the vote. Director Stevens?
Yes.
Director Zook?
Yes.
Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Director Kelly? Please. Chair votes yes, motion passes. This is probably I mean, there's a couple 100,000 still to go up, but this is probably our last handshaking check signing of the building project. So congratulations to all of us, yeah, especially those who have a long time of it. And just as a comment again, at least once, and I think twice yesterday, the job that we did on this building got mentioned in the county meeting in terms of our diligence in sticking with cost and schedule and hitting all the right milestones. So we continue to get the good kind of attention. Let's hope that as a district, we continue that as opposed to the other kind of attention. All right, moving on to item 3, we have an update on the status of the SSD reserve study. I think this will be short, but I'll turn it over to Administrator Holliday.
Thank you. I have still not received the projections and fund data or expense data from ORPM Nelson at this time, so there's no update for the reserve study.
Okay. I probably won't have a conversation with him this calendar year, but I will have a conversation with him before the board meeting on deliverables and payouts based on deliverables. If there's no questions on that, we can go to item 4, update on the Sun River Service District lease expansion with Caldera Springs and Crosswater. I will turn it over to Directors Shoemaker and Stevens for that update.
And defer to Director Stevens, that you were did you give an update at the?
Jim gave a very brief update.
You talked about it
at the
briefly.
county meeting. Yeah, there was no.
There hasn't been any movement. In fact, yeah, we'll meet if you got 5 minutes afterwards.
Sounds good.
One question, Vanderbilt Ranch, have we
No.
looked at that at all?
Looked, no talk. Nice houses.
Don't go fishing.
They're not gonna let it, they're not. Be nice for us.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions on that update? If not, I will move on to item 5. Update on the SRA rules and regulations, bike patrol contacts. I'll actually, my name's on it, but I will turn it over to Chief Rassick. He's had the latest conversations.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Chair Pfister. Regarding the update with the Homeowners Association SROA, it's certainly not news to anybody in the room that the Sun River Police Department has provided rules and regulation enforcement for the Homeowners Association for many, many years. And we've done that recently for a contractual amount of about $80,000. That generated probably in August or September for Chair Pfister and I to review and revisit the contract. It was last, I think, updated in 2021. Yeah, and it was time for a review. Chair Pfister was able to complete actually a complete rewrite. Formerly, the contracts for rules enforcement and the contract for bike patrol were two separate contracts. He was able to combine them. And though there had been a request from SROA for some increased reporting requirements, there really is not a lot of material changes in the contracts. For the sake of brevity, I had provided a handout, an informational handout that is, I was going to cover in the police department report, but in the area that talks about additional values provided, it comes down to this, is the Sun River Police Department provides a superior service when it comes to homeowner rule enforcement, and it can't be duplicated. I think that if they were to try to go outside and look at the real market value of this, it would be many, many times what they're currently paying. My concern when I came into this, $80,000 a year annually does not reflect the actual cost of these services, nor does the 3% COLA, the adjustment. It just doesn't keep up with the wage and the benefit increases, and it's just really not a sustainable business practice for the service district. And as I've come to learn, I'm not the first police chief that has felt that way. So as we're moving forward, you know, I examined this really from two different perspectives. There's a comprehensive way to look at this. And when I mean comprehensive, you have a full-time police department that's here 24/7. They're serving as a deterrent to any sort of HOA violations just by driving around. But hard to put a price on that. Roughly 14% of all calls for service are HOA related. And if you wanted to look again at that comprehensively, 14% of personnel costs is roughly $325,000. You add to the 100% of personnel costs for our CSO, which is roughly $89,000, and the budgeted $51,000 for bike patrol, comes up to roughly $467,000. Now, would I ever go to SROA and ask them for $467,000? Absolutely not. It's just not a legitimate amount. So the second way I looked at this was more of a quantitative figure, more of a data-driven, and I think that is easier to qualify. So that was very simply is you look at the number of calls that were going on that are HO related. You find an average time on scene for those types of calls, and you multiply that by the average hourly wage of our officers, and that's how I came up with a dollar figure of about $44,000 plus. I looked very conservatively at the time that our CSO is spending on HOA related enforcement, and also looked very conservatively at the bike patrol. I think I put CSO at about 60% of her time spent doing HOA related enforcement, and our bike patrol I put it 80%. And really, again, those are conservative, but are there instances where they are performing duties that are more traditional police services and not HOA? Yes, they are. And so again, I was conservative in that. Provided that, I came up with a dollar figure of about $153,000 a year. And that is what I've presented to James Lewis. And again, we've met several times, and right now that is the sticking point. Now, I want to mention that I don't blame James for his position. He's doing exactly what he should be doing and trying to negotiate that price down. That's part of his job. I'd also like to add that, you know what, though new to the community, I appreciate the working relationship between the police department and SROA. I think it is very good for the community. I think it is very good for the police department for us to be out there and providing that service. The meetings that James and I have had have been very professional, and they will continue to do so. And other than that, are there any questions regarding that?
I would just like to add real quick that the revision of the document in 2021 was not a change to the financials. It was a continuation of the same amount, and I believe that amount started 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just been a 3% increase. So you can imagine how much costs have gone up in 10 to 15 years. And the 3% increase, and the distortion there of the costs.
First or second year of my full stint on the board, we discussed a slight price adjustment to bike patrol. But that was the last price adjustment that we've done. It's basically been a 3% increase since then.
And so,
So the current agreed on price, if it projected out to that, would be just slightly under $80,000. So you can see the delta that we're talking.
and then in addition to that, with these numbers, there's no materials and services. I mean, he just took the personnel. So not only were those numbers very conservative, but we're not even including
Thanks.
bikes, gas, uniforms for officers, the capital expense for the patrol cars. So just trying to share that, I believe Chief Rossick has been more than gracious enough with the number that he's been coming up with to keep that partnership. But moving forward to be fiscally responsible, this is kind of where we are.
And what is the path forward? Is it a stalemate or no, there are additional moves that can be made?
There has not been a lot of progress made, I can say that. But no, we're absolutely not at a stalemate. James and I will continue to meet, and both of us have had conflicts in our schedule that likely prevented us from meeting more often than we'd like, but we are still meeting every couple of weeks. And again, there's been a lot of clarification. He has some explaining. This is a substantial increase to SROA. So again, he has to justify that to his board. And so there's been a lot of questions, a lot of answers, again, a lot of that type of communication.
Right, thank you.
Are they issuing citations in some cases?
The patrol officers? Absolutely.
Either patrol or the CSOs?
Correct. Yes, both do.
And then the money that the fine fees go to where?
They go 100% to SROA.
There is occasionally then officer or CSO time if something needs to go in front of the magistrate. There's time that, we would then have in terms of prep, going to that meeting, other things that, also wasn't fully comprehended in there. So, I mean, we're not trying to, I don't think either side is trying to nickel and dime each other. I think we're just trying to figure out, well, okay, based on where the budgets were and based on what we have been doing, what's changed and how do we just have a friendly conversation until we can get to the right number?
Well, and based on your level of service that SROA receives in comparison, and I'm just going to use Caldera because I'm familiar with those numbers right now, and their private security that comes part-time. They're paying almost what you're asking
To drive twice through.
to drive twice through.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for about approximately 20 or probably 20% the size.
As I kind of insinuated, if you were to go out to the open market and try to find the level of service that's provided by the police department, it would be several times what that $80,000 figure is. And I don't know that anybody really, again, because of getting back to the comprehensive perspective of this, I don't know that anybody could actually perform it because we're here, because we're constant, because we're driving around, because of the connection between the police department and the community. It would be tough to duplicate.
And in addition, I would just like to note that I was sitting next to County Administrator Nick Lelak at the joint meeting. And when they were talking about that this is, that the Sherman PD enforces the rules and regs of the HOA, he's like, they do? Like, this is not a common thing that other agencies do because they don't want to take on that liability. So, I mean, he was shocked that we're even in a contract to do that. Deschutes County doesn't do that, but
And they won't.
they won't do it. And so that's another thing is to like, okay, this has been going on for so long, let's, do a 30,000 foot view to be like, wow, okay, this is a unique situation.
Say something,
And
Chief.
then you also have to take into account the fire department and we respond. We'll respond to Open Flames, we'll respond
Mhm.
to their rules and enforce their rules. So they're getting two public service agencies doing work for them. So for them to be able to get all of that, because if we backed off, we would follow county fire code, which is a lot, right? I mean, it's not nearly as microcosm of what the rules are for some of.
None of those costs are even in this. I mean, the guys to go out to switch the batteries.
Well, no.
I mean, things like that, like,
But,
yeah, but Lapine doesn't.
well,
Other agencies, yes.
I would rather go sit and change somebody's smoke detector battery than their house catch on fire and not a ladder.
But I'm just saying that makes it
Saying it.
unique to help, whereas other agencies are they're so tied up and stretched so thin, they're like, call a handyman.
Yes.
Bruce, do you have like a call record?
I haven't pulled anything.
Things like open fire comments that could be provided for this discussion?
I could talk to, we have a legal open burns, and that's what it would fall under, but we also respond down in the Pine area too. So we'd have to comb through all of them. That would take quite a bit of time.
It's at least worth mentioning and maybe worth calling, depending on.
Yeah. I mean, it depends how deep we want to get with it, but I think that they also need to understand that it's not, the majority of it is Pete Rassick's department. I'm just saying that they're also getting our services on top of that. So I don't know that that's been brought up.
Just to be clear, we're not trying to negotiate through, anybody sitting in a corner of the table or anything. But it's helpful for you to hear
For
something.
what it's worth, went to talk to James before the meeting, but he wasn't available. I think that maybe my position probably should be involved in it.
Yeah.
At both the meetings.
When was the last time we had an increase?
Like I said, it's been going up at 3% a year.
A year.
for-
I think it was,
3%'s not enough. Yeah.
I think it was about 15 years ago, and it was started at about 25 or 26,000, I believe.
Just talking personnel, so we went through a 3-year period of 7%, 21% minus 9, so it gives you 12% that we lost.
And ironically, even with that, we're still paying less than a job they can get at the Shark scanning passes, like the bike patrol. So it's like, even with those increases, we're having a hard time keeping up with
Yeah.
the hourly wage that even SROA is able to
I think
provide.
it's pretty fair, equitable ask in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think that dollar figure is unreasonable. But again, as I stated, I don't hold it against James or the SROA for their position. You know, they're just seeking some clarity.
If this is the worst argument that we have with SROA, it'll be a good year.
Yeah.
That and the blue downspouts?
Yeah, I haven't been involved in something. You're
They're purple.
Yeah.
If you go out there, I can see why we picked the color. If you look at it just without it, and then you step back and you go, yeah, that was a dumb choice. Anyway,
I'm at 20.
totally on us. All right, if there's no further questions on that, we'll move to our new business section. Monthly chief and administrator reports, and in the Ever Fund round robin, we have Administrator Holiday first.
Well, I'll briefly run through everything. I think we've seen most of each other every day this week. Yes, sir.
Did you just hear all these reports 2 days ago?
Well, that was my yearly report. This is my notebook.
But hopefully, so it'll be 1/12.
12th of what last month or Tuesday's report.
Okay.
So, let's see, just the building, budget adjustment, and then, the mid-year budget review, which is in our agenda to chat about here in a few minutes. Successfully came to resolution on the Social Security tax matter, going back and having to redo all that payroll.
All those checks are signed
Their
in.
sign date and 3/4 are cashed. So that was, and now moving forward, we were able to fix many years of an issue there. And
Administrator Holiday, did
Yes.
that involve additional cost to our district or not?
yes, so it was, it came out that there were, because the district does not pay Social Security as a benefit. And it came out that we received a letter from the state Social Security Administrator's office saying that you inaccurately paid certain individuals that from times when we were not doing our own payroll, SROA was doing our payroll. And so having to go back and change all that data, took an extensive amount of my time, and then we had to outsource some accounting support as well.
Monetarily, we are not out, but well, yeah, monetarily from the Social Security Administration, we're not out. They gave us the money back with interest. But in terms of administrator time as well as accountant time that we had to pay for, that did cost us money.
Let's see. In addition to that, met with Deschutes County, or well, let me skip. There's PERS errors that have been come about from employees from many years ago that I'm working with PERS to correct some inaccurate reporting that went to them. And so, so yeah, just trying to get, finding out if there's things we, have needed to get fixed and getting them done. Met with Deschutes County to review and evaluate the contract that they have with the auditor. Denny, are we out of coffee? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just enough.
Just enough. Liz, will you text Heather if we can make a note?
Yeah.
Huh? But anyway, so their auditor contract. So we just piggyback with the county, whoever they choose, they go out for an RFP for the auditor. And so it was a good discussion to meet with her and see that there's, what the needs are with the other parts of the county. And then, so we're going to extend probably for another year. And then I offered to be on that RFP evaluation process too. I think that'd be a great networking opportunity.
Yeah, she seemed very happy.
Yeah, well, nobody's super excited about evaluating RFPs, especially for an auditor, but.
He's going to show up with a pink folder.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And I'll be out of place like always. And then just did some great professional development classes in the last month. We got the FSA benefits out for our employees. They'll start in January 1. So for the new board members, we offer as a benefit a flexible spending account where we front load the employees on January 1 and then they pay us back per pay period throughout the year. And then let's see, we met with Gentleman Bynum's office. The gentleman, I forget his name, Mikey or Mickey?
Mikey.
Mickey. Mikey.
Okay.
And that was interesting. Make a connection. Positive. And then also just the logistics for the meeting with Deschutes County. And then I'm very excited to announce that my new executive assistant will start January 5th. Her name is Rachel Pop with 2 P's. And John Shoemaker, thank you very much for being on that committee. And I think she'll be a great addition and very valuable. And I'm very much looking forward to having her on board to assist me moving forward for the new year. And then nominating committee, some current vacancies. Randy, do you want to add? I'm sorry, I didn't have nominating committee on the agenda, that you reached out to someone and they seemed
Yesterday, I was
interested.
nominating committee had talked to Eric Schofield, who's the head of First Interstate, and he seemed to have some interest in it. I think I gave him the amount of time requirement is about right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty minimal.
Times a year,
Yeah.
for an hour or so. So he's going to hopefully fill out the application. We might have at least.
One more person on that committee.
I was going to nudge him today, but he had someone in his office, so I just waved and kept walking.
And then worked on getting some communications going with legal counsel for the Caldera Crosswater Partnership, and kind of had a checklist from my last meeting with directors Shoemaker and Stevens, and then planned a kind of an impromptu holiday party where we just did a potluck. Thank you to the board members that showed up. I think it was fun. Just a nice way to get back to the employees a little bit. And then Tuesday's luncheon left so much food left over. I think almost every shift has gotten at least another lunch and dinner.
There's still some in there.
Yeah, there's still some food if you want. So everybody at the district has been fed and thanked for their service, I believe, this week. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions for Administrator Holliday? Right. Hearing none, we will move on to the fire report, and I will turn it over to Chief Boos.
Thank you, Chair Pfister. Board, we'll look at the dashboard quick. Monthly calls for November were what we ran last year. Couple structure fires, if you look at fire responses under comparison statistics, those were both down in the Lapine area. We didn't have any structure fires in Sun River, so I didn't want to alarm anybody with that. Turnout times were a little bit above what we were last year, and I don't really can't put a finger on that, but just a little bit touch above. I'd like to be around a minute 30 getting out of the station for our calls. Training hours, we were quite a bit of training in November. Same with what we did in 2024. And then you look down, and I think this is the first month where we've given and received mutual aid, and it's been even. So most of our mutual aid we receive comes down from Bend. We're going, what ends up happening is we go down to Lapine, run a call, and then we'll move an ambulance from Bend here. So it's kind of a domino effect. Total calls for service were down from last year, which it's been that way since I've been here for the last couple of years. So our call volume is trending down. And then we build out ambulance billing of almost 22,000. Collection rate for this time we're over 53%, so we're at 212,000, which we budgeted 400. So we increased our EMS rate to $2,000 a call versus $1,750. So we're seeing that there. So, yeah, our collections are good on the ambulance side and still billing out a considerable amount for a department our size. Is there any questions on the dashboard? Okay. Administrative and then just you see the rest of my report. Administrative update. Rod and I our Chief Bjorvik and I sat down with the shifts and just did chief chats with them, kind of update everything that we have going on, being able to meet with them, kind of where we're headed. We're going to be bringing on the reserve program in the summer. What the reserve program basically is a student program, so it's partnering with the COCC. So we're going to start working towards that. So we'll have more bodies here. And the college is looking for places to put people. And this is a great spot to be able to do it because we can train. We may even be able to partner up with the PD side and then use them for bike patrol, right? Both sides, and we can show them how much better fire is than police. I'm for sure. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry. I know. Anyway, so I know that's going to come back to bite me. That's going to get me. Anyway, so, but no, I think it's going to be great. It'll be a great opportunity. I mean, it'll give kids exposure to both disciplines, and it'll be a pretty cool thing, if somebody that's in school, and it's kind of like a paid internship, which is a great deal. So, let's see, we met. Chief Bjork and I met with Patty and James Lewis last week in regards to defensible space and home hardening. I'm actually going to be going in front of the SROA board meeting tomorrow to have a conversation around that. Patty's put together a really good slide presentation showing all the work that she's done, all of the accolades that SROA has received, and all of that. There's just 5 new board members. And so there'll be an educational component to that because they're looking at potentially doing a wildfire, I think, task force, something to that effect. I don't think they need to go to that extent. I think they could just work it into the rules, but save some people some time. They don't want to do it.
One of the problems is, though, that there's a conflict, obviously, between the rules and regs, and there are all the different things that they all have different language, and so that would cross over between different.
Sure.
Lateral reduction is not being addressed by the rules and regs task force, so kind of. Anyway, we're going to discuss that tomorrow.
We'll have some discussions around all of that. I think that there's some other things that are bigger hitters.
They're much more important, especially this time of year. I'm not too worried about it.
And then, we met with Representative Bynum's staffer. I'm sitting on, we get the grant for the Oregon State Fire Marshal for upstaffing. So I was able to get on that committee. And so I'm part of that. We're re-looking at that whole program. It's funded for next year, 2026, but it's not guaranteed after that. So just kind of looking at, may have to go to the legislator a couple times to get those. But we get 35, well, last year we got 14,000, but we can get up to $35,000 in grants each year to up staff. So anyway, so that's a good thing. I'm also part of the Deschutes County Transportation Safety Action Plan. So it's those high hazard intersections that the county property that I'm involved with. So I've been on this committee for a long time. It was when we addressed the roundabout at the business park, Spring River and Century Drive, Huntington. We did that about 5 years ago. But so you're projecting out about 5 years from now. So there's a few areas down in the Pine area, Day Road, Matson, all of that they're going to be addressing coming up. And then there's some stuff in North Deschutes County. So it's just good part of being part of all of that. So it'll be nice to see the design and what happens with the business park. It will be a good one. So looking forward to that. Chief Bjork went to the Central Area Fire Chiefs meeting. Not much to report there, pretty quiet this time of year. The boys, I guess we don't have any females, but hopefully that is the whole reason behind having a student program, is to get young ladies involved in the fire service. We did some hazmat training here, which was great. We also brought in an instructor. He worked for me when I was here prior to going to bed. He was my engineer. He retired out of Eugene Springfield, but he's working up at the college, but he worked at the airport in Eugene. So he came here and did some aircraft training for our guys, which was great. That was awesome. And then we've done quite a bit of extrication training. The guys are wonderful with that. And then Winterland Express, and then Chief Rassick and I and Chair Pfister went to the Sun River Appreciation Night. I'm getting confused.
That's party.
Tuesday, thank you. 2 nights ago, right? Yeah. That's the end of my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Chief Boos?
I have a question. You had mentioned the reserve program would start this summer. Is it envisioned as a summer only program or no?
No, I mean, we're hoping to get it off in the summer, probably when the school year starts. It just depends on all of that. We got to figure out when that program all kicks off, because it's a tie-in with with COCC. So I don't know exactly when that is, but no, it's a year-round program. So yeah, you can have students that the fire science program is a 2-year program. So you could have them for 2 years. They could end up getting a job that period. If they decide to go get their paramedic, they could be here for 3 or 4 years, depending upon what goes on. So we're training them to be able to get a career.
We in the past have had a fairly robust student program. It just kind of fell off for various reasons in the last couple of years. So it's, I mean, the way that you're saying that you talk to the crews, it sounds like they're generally receptive to starting it back up.
That is one of the things I talked about in the chief chats that we're going to make happen. Yep.
Okay, additional questions? All right, Chief Rassick's turn. Let's talk about police.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Starting out with calls for service, 437 calls for service in the month of November, which is down substantially from the year prior. And really looking at the dashboard, it's down, kind of in every area. I had addressed this back in November. I can almost with high certainty say that has to do with our staffing. Not only are we down a couple bodies, but we had some who were gone on extended leave and some gone for training. And actually on that note, we got Corporal Ben Meter back yesterday from the FBI National Academy. It's always nice to have Jason around. And one of our officers who was gone on extended family leave is now also back. And so that will relieve some of those staffing issues that we've had at the police department. So again, nice to have that relief. Of the investigations in the month of November, all of them were inside the boundaries of Sun River. And getting to the calls for service, very similar for the month of November. The month of October and November were very similar. The calls for service in Caldera Springs and Crosswater this last month being 38 calls, 13 of which were responded to by Sun River and 25 of them by the Sheriff's Department. And you can see those that I have listed out, those that we responded. The Citizens Patrol just keeps doing what they do, even in the quieter months of the year, and contributing to the community. And I know that they will be back out there this weekend at a couple of food drives and such. So always great to have them around. An administrative update. I've already been able to cover what's going on with the Homeowner Association and the Service District. And next, the negotiations between the Police Officers Association. I'm actually very happy to announce that we do have a tentative agreement on language only right now. Right now, there's been the updates, there's been no material changes in practice. There has been a little bit of a rewrite of the contract itself just because it needed to be cleaned up. Again, no material changes. Just kind of adding some details in what has always been practice at the police department. There's been no discussions of anything monetary. However, we will move into those discussions very soon. From a staffing standpoint, an update on our recruitment for lieutenant, sergeant, and lateral police officer are going fantastic. In fact, we will have the lieutenants and sergeants will be moving into the second phase of their testing. The lieutenant's applicants will have an in-person interview on Monday, the 22nd, and the sergeant applicants will move to an in-person interview on Monday, the 29th. As far as lateral police officer, we did test. We had some in-person interviews. I've decided to open that up to entry level as well to get some more quality applicants. We can do better. I'll leave it at that. And so as we move past the first of the year, that will be opened back up. We did have some applicants who put in for lateral that didn't quite meet the threshold that we had asked for. They seem like quality applicants, which is part of the reason we're going to open it back up. And then lastly, an update on our flock safety license plate reader system. I don't know if everybody in the room has paid attention to what's going on in the news, but in the law enforcement arena in Oregon, it's been kind of a big deal. And what has happened, Flock Safety is the largest license plate reader company in the country. They're certainly not the only one. And in short, what they do is, for lack of better terms, you drive by their cameras, they're going to take a shot of your license plate and it's going to be stored. If that license plate happens to be in some sort of law enforcement database, it will send off an active alert. For example, if you're a missing person, if you're a wanted person, if the car was used in some sort of a crime. And I think that this is a big deal, not just for us in law enforcement, but really in the community. One, it's a significant investment financially for our community every year. And, well, I think that people just would like to know that their civilly protected rights are not being violated. I should note that when we implemented the system here, the system is working as we had intended. The Sun River officers are using the system and it's working. They're getting the investigative leads that we had planned on. So it is working. The issue in Oregon came up, it kind of originated in the city of Eugene. And what had been revealed was that those searching into the system, it was accessible beyond a point of control. And the concern being that there were some out-of-state agencies or even federal agencies that were using it for its non-intended purposes, namely the big one being immigration enforcement. And why is this a problem? The license plate reader themselves are not the problem. It's the data storage and what the data is being used for. So in the state of Oregon, there's various politicians, legislation, OACP, the DOJ, everybody's kind of has their hands in this right now. And what do I think is coming down the line? I think that the use of these ALPRs is going to be regulated. And so again, I think it was important for everybody to know that. And so what does it mean for us here in Sun River? We have an accurate policy on the use of our license plate readers. The officers get updates and training on how to use those. Audits have been conducted by myself and by Sergeant Beck, and there have been no violations of that policy. I do agree that given recent events, it's probably a good idea for us to do more periodic or more often audits. When our system was set up, it does allow for nationwide searches. Since I came to that realization, I have actually limited that access and plan on limiting it more. Right now, the updates within Flock Safety don't permit me to limit it anymore. So as we sit here today, the only people that have access to our cameras, or the data, I should say, from our cameras, are other municipal police departments in Oregon.
Even if it is requested via search warrant?
If somebody, for example, if somebody outside of that our searching area, they'll call us. And so, yeah, if there was some sort of a search warrant or subpoena, we would be required to have that information, to release that information.
Would the search warrant have to go to Flock itself?
I don't think so. The data, it's pretty clear in our contract. All of our data is owned by Sun River. Flock actually has been making some updates to make sure that they're improving their filters to basically to make sure that the searches really align with the investigative or criminal law enforcement purposes. And then once, again, as I had mentioned, once Flock does one more update to their system, I will be able to further limit who has access to our cameras, which right now I think is probably a good idea. And I kind of started out by saying that it's working the way we had intended. I think that license plate readers are a fantastic investigative resource, and they should be used. However, there do need to be safeguards on them to make sure that they're being used as they should be. And this will certainly will continue to evolve. Any questions on our license plate readers?
Have there been any key concerns raised to the police department recently?
Concerns? No. Questions? Yes. I have been asked via email twice regarding how we use them. And I provided responses and didn't get any sort of additional feedback.
And anecdotally is that most of those questions were asked when they were installed or prior to installation, when we were discussing even allowing them to go up. So it was vetted pretty thoroughly, I thought.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Just a quick one. How long do you store the data?
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
Because if people are going back and forth every day, taking your picture your license plate every day, that just goes away after 30 days.
30 days.
And then it may start over again, but.
Correct. The information on searches. So for example, in Sun River, we're initiating searches through Flock Safety maybe as few as 50 times a month, maybe as many as 150 to 200 times a month. That information I can audit and is retained, I believe, indefinitely. It is the captures, individual captures of license plates that's retained for 30 days.
That's what I was wondering, because that could get pretty redundant after a while.
For sure.
But if there is a criminal investigation going on involving some of the data is retained beyond.
Correct.
Okay.
So I mean, it is, you know, as Director Schimick was saying, we talked a lot about it, well, not only in this board, but vetted it with the community, and it's been a useful tool. And, you know, the conversation I had with Chief the other day, I'd sent him a snippet of an article on something else, and it said, it's a great tool as long as it's a useful tool. And as long as we keep that in mind, if this is a useful tool for us and we've got the control of it, you know, obviously we can continue to discuss this as a board and as police department and figure out what we want to do, but it is a useful tool. If it ceased to be that, then we probably wouldn't have the conversation as to what we're doing with it. Cause, you know, we don't particularly want something that isn't helping, but otherwise can be viewed as invasive. But I don't anticipate that happening. I think
I don't, and even with the limited searches that we are doing, it has provided many investigative leads, and it has been good for us.
and this is your civil libertarian board member speaking. So.
I know my position.
All right, additional questions for Chief or anything else you want to?
No, I think that's going to do it. The community events, as Chief Moose mentioned, Grand Illumination and the Wonderland Express. Love being out there. Shop with a Cop. Thank you for that, which I love being out there for that. So yeah, just the holiday related community events, which again, were great.
I will know that Shop with the Cop, we did get yet another round of, you know, we miss Doug comments coming from everywhere. So we're making the rounds.
But the kid that you guys had was great, and he came down and got a tour of the fire station with the firefighters.
Which is what he really wanted to do.
He got the gold standard treatment.
He was exhausted by the end of the day. She ran him.
Could not, he was ready to get home. He got the fire department was great, and they gave him a full tour of everything upstairs. We brought him back here. We had a little bite to eat. We got to wrap some more gifts. And he loved it. And yeah, he said he was wiped out at the end of the day.
How old was he?
11?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is a good program. And, you know, I appreciate the sheriff's office for not only letting us participate, you know, from the police department standpoint, but Citizen Patrol for as long as I can remember and well before then has always been invited up one day to be able to help wrap the presents. And that's a great honor for the service district itself to be able to participate like that.
Agreed. I love it.
All right, any additional questions? All right, let's move on to item 7, recap of the mid-year budget review meeting. I'll turn to Administrator Holliday and the participants otherwise.
Thank you, Chair. So we met Wednesday. Yes, yesterday. The chiefs, executive assistant Phoebe on the police side, and Kent, I'm sorry, Treasurer Zook. Very informal here, apparently. And it's really, it was really an opportunity to look at our financials, which we'll go through later, get some feedback on just those financials, which I'll talk about. And then Chief Rassick and Executive Assistant Phoebe are new to the budgeting world here. And then also Treasurer Zook is first time being treasurer through the budget process. So I just went through the instructions I usually provide that have the data to help with some of the determine some of the data or figures for each of their personnel salary or savings. Oh my God. And benefits. And then just went through our process. And I think we had a really great discussion on how to move forward with that and what is on everyone's radar. And we'll get started with that right after the new year. So Treasurer Zook, I don't know if you had anything else to add?
No more red highlights.
No more. Yeah, it was, nobody likes the red in the financials apparently. So we've got a process. The December financials will just be.
Like rotating colors or what?
Yeah.
Yes. More softer tone.
Track of that color.
Yes.
Same color as the downspouts.
I think, you know, when she was talking about the, you know, forecasting and we were meeting, you know, we have 717, which is tied to a levy, right? It's for the building. And so I think we're going to do some research as to how we can utilize those funds because they cannot be brought into operations. But can they be used for repair and maintenance, for the building? What legalities do we have surrounding those dollars and how they are gonna have to continue to be separated? And what happens when that levy expires and there's funds in there? How does that whole thing work? So I think we'll be looking at that, because I know that there's been some fire departments that have moved money between
Yes.
levelly. No, it was
It happened.
levies and bonds that'll get them in trouble.
I don't think we're looking to move funds. It's more just charging building R&M to the 717 account.
Making sure.
Instead of the 715. So we're gonna look into that. I'm gonna reach out to Oric, who is the legal counsel we used for that whole process, and they go through the monotonous hundreds of contract pages, just to make sure anything with the lender, the tap, like all of it. And I have it in writing that yes, it's okay to do such things.
And when you do that, though, one thing I want to make sure that we ask is if there are funds transferred from elsewhere to 717, are those permanently in 717, or can that be considered a loan and it's repaid back? So very specifically, we transferred 500,000 from 715 to 717 last fiscal year. It's not an issue if it stays in there, but if we have the option legally to be able to transfer some or all of that back, that would be good to know.
I will ask. I think, we're getting down to 6 years left on that loan, but there won't be nearly as much activity moving forward for budgeting. So I think I'm starting to look more ahead and just getting the parameters from legal counsel on what we can and cannot do.
Yeah, projection wise, the overage collected on the levy beyond what we require on the loan payment through the life of the 10 years will probably be a little over $1 million. So there is some money that will be flowing in there that we can use for reserve and maintenance. It's not, $1 million is not a lot when you're looking at this building, but at least it's not, pocket change.
That's material.
Yeah. Might be pocket change if you have a really big pocket and you collect a lot of change.
And I think when we were talking about the arbitrage issue came up
Yeah,
at then, and I think we can do it.
yeah.
Right, yeah. And so I was gonna pull some of those documents as well, because we'll have to do another arbitrage assessment at the end. But yeah, I just want to look back, now hindsight's 2020. So allegedly.
Trying to remember back to.
I know, it seems like forever ago. So, but it was a great discussion. Told the chiefs start thinking about their budgets, their capital, whatever capital that they might need to be requesting, and we'll kick off the new year doing budget.
All right.
It's gonna be great. It's great.
It's always budget season. I'll say it, and it's sitting in the car, but Nick Lelak gifted me at less than $50, gifted me a present the other day at the meeting. It's a hat that says Budget Season Survivor. So we'll pass that around as appropriate. All right, if there are no additional questions on that. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Chair Pfister, I did want to talk real quick. Denny pulled me aside, was that Tuesday? I don't know. We've just hung out all week, I swear, all of us. And so about maybe you and Director Stevens also wanting to meet with the chiefs to go over budget as a smaller kind of finance committee. And we talked about that yesterday in that discussion, and we just didn't know if that would be helpful, or your guys' thoughts on that and the goals that you're going to have, or if it would just be better to have us all meet as a board to go over everything. I didn't know your thoughts on that, Denny.
Well, most of the budget stuff is done with you guys, and then I can't remember how it's almost like a steering committee, how we didn't have an official budget committee
Right.
like we have in the past. And so Jill volunteered, and we were looking for a third member. Was there a third person that came on? Did you talk to, Jim?
We have not had another finance committee application, no.
And do we need a committee, or?
Not really.
Because the committee is really this board.
Yes, there is nothing in state rules that say that we did that. Was the whole rigmarole that we went through last year, clarify all the rules on votes, yada, yada, yada.
So I guess the vision I have is that we sit with the chiefs individually, kind of go over what their numbers are, so that we have a good basis for that. And then collectively, I guess the five of us present that to the board.
Yeah, and all that sounds good. So the only caution that I'm gonna offer, and I'll rely on probably Administrator Holliday to make sure that we're doing our diligence on this. If you individually or as a non-quorum group, i.e. if two people meet with Mindy or the chiefs to have the discussion, if there's any further discussions that you do as board members, you do them with the people that you met with. So if Denny and Jill are going to have the conversation, they can talk with each other on the budget, but you can't then come to me and say, hey, we heard this on the budget, because that starts to get into the serial meeting risk. So, so just if you're having and that does not impacts the staff or the organization. The organization can come to us in any group, as long as it's not a quorum, and can not only give us data, but can actually advocate for a position. It's just that we can't talk with each other outside of a public meeting. And I know everybody's aware of that. I'm just making sure that, one, that it's recorded that we are aware of it, and then two, that we don't trip ourselves up.
So Jill and I just need to make sure that when we do these discussions, that we don't discuss it with the rest of you.
Right. Yeah.
Until we come to the board.
Yes, or if John has some questions on budget and wants to come in, it's just, okay, he can then ask questions or offer opinions in a public meeting, rather than
So,
or to somebody
From
else.
the discussion we had in the training about serial meetings, if a third party is involved in that, that's not on the board, that can also contaminate
Not if it's staff.
No, okay.
So staff has the ability to advocate, to state positions and advocate positions to any and all of us, as long as we are then not talking. So we're the deliberating body that's making the decisions. We just can't deliberate outside of a public meeting. And this usually is not, in fact, the issue, it's only been raised to me once, in the 4 years that I've been back, that there was even the appearance of a conflict. So let's just make sure that we continue to be good like that.
I think this will be a fairly simple process.
I agree.
You're not Portland City Council.
So I guess then just
Or the upcoming 5 Deschutes County Commissioners.
had a question then, because last year there was so much confusion. And so what ended up happening was realizing that there is not a need for an SSD budget committee, that we are the Deschutes County Budget Committee. Then the chiefs and we just worked through our budget. We presented it to you. We got the blessing from you. We moved ahead. Now, the extra layer of this, is that something you'd rather want to meet with? You want to meet prior to meeting with the board to review the budget, or I just want to make sure?
Let me ask this, do we need to have Jill and I involved in that?
I don't think it hurts to do it. I would rather all 5 of us be involved on our own in the budget process and have opinions. And then where we need to make decisions or provide direction, we can deliberate, and we can do that in a public meeting. But I would love for all 5 of us to have eyes on this budget, looking at it, making sure that everybody's doing their due diligence on this. I certainly have opinions, and I'm sure Mindy and the chiefs will hear them as I see the budget.
When you say all 5 of us, are you talking about the people here?
Yes.
Okay.
So do Jill and I do anything independent of that? In other words, they come in and we have maybe a special meeting that they present their budget to all of us.
I don't see a problem with us by ones and twos, again, as long as we don't talk to each other, going in and having more in-depth conversations, because you can only cover so much in the time that you have in a public meeting. Doctor's appointments and other things intervene, and we all need to get out of here. So, if you're spending some extra hours on the budget, that's extra hours that we're spending making sure that we have the right budget. So my answer is yes. I think it would be wise, prudent, and beneficial to the both of you to do that.
But to do that, I think what Denny's maybe asking is we would form a team of 5 where we're doing some sort of pre-review or bouncing ideas back and forth or whatever as like a team,
Yeah, that's fine.
but we don't know that that's necessary. It sounds like,
Sounds like you guys can just provide some review of what the chiefs are bringing to you
Yeah.
and Mindy, and ask the hard questions at that point. So that basically you're culling out what the board needs to review.
I see.
But
So-
don't wait for a meeting to do that. Just be careful about serial meeting rules if you want to.
Yeah, but
Is that, yeah, and maybe I over dramatized it, you know, it's just, but I just want to make sure that we're being transparent and above board in terms of all that we do. But I really, you know, we are a good managing advisory board. The 5 of us are on here because we all have different skills that we bring to this. Let's apply those skills as best we can to make sure that we have a functioning district. And then the only other nuance that just happens is because I am a member of the county budget committee, I have to make a choice as to whether as to where in the budget process I am recusing myself. The choice I've made, and it has worked every time, has been to involve myself as a member of the managing board, and then I recuse myself as a member of the budget committee for any budget deliberations that go on, and that's not been a problem in any of the year, or in all the years I've been on the committee.
You're talking at the county level.
Yeah, at the county level.
So you're active here and you recuse.
Yes, I'm active here, I recuse myself there, and that works. So, but that's just special because I'm a snowflake. All right, any additional questions on this? Anything else you wanted to cover?
I guess I would just say, Denny, I'll look to you to let me know if we're going to be pulled in, maybe based on conversations. Is that high value add or what? Yeah.
I guess I would just say, as you go to those meetings, look hard at the budget and what the chiefs are presenting, and Mindy, and ask hard questions at that point, because that'll alleviate 90% of the questions that come before the whole board.
Yeah.
In an open meeting.
Absolutely. Be mean.
Yeah.
I didn't consider it a successful budget review with PD unless Lopez swore at me twice, so. Of course, that wasn't hard, it was Lopez. On to item 8. So this is the preliminary discussion. I'll give some context on this. So for those of you that were in the Tuesday meeting, you heard we as the board say to the county several times, you either need to increase your rates or you need to cut your expenses in order to be able to continue to function in a tight budget environment, and all options are on the table. So we are putting on the table an option. This is something, it actually started, I think Chief Booth and I started discussing it 3-4 months ago, just as kind of a offhand, oh, well, you know, this would be something that we could talk about. But it turns into a district-wide option that we are putting in front of the board today to consider. We are not asking for a vote today. If there is consensus, if there's general board consensus that this might be a good idea, we will formalize the terms and bring it in a future board meeting, likely next month, for a formal deliberation and vote. But what you have in front of you is a proposal written in the memo that I provided that we are considering an offer. So let's hit a couple of key things. Is it fair equity, fair pay? It's the
Fair Equity and Pay Act.
Fair Equity and Pay Act, thank you. I knew there was something in there. According to the Fair Equity and Pay Act, and basically just general HR principles, if we are going to offer something to the district in terms of a buyout, it would have to be offered to all district employees. So the offer would be, and this is where we want to discuss the terms and see if any of the terms look like they need to be changed. All employees would be offered a voluntary severance from the district in good standing. The severance would be at the discretion of the employee, sole discretion of the employee. So there's no influence from management or from the board to any of the employees. And the term or the date that we set would be no later than September 1st of 2026. So when the offer goes out, they would have the option to take it, and they could choose the date of their separation and provide it to us, but that would be no later than September 1, 2026. And then the offer is basically 1 month of healthcare for every 1 year of service measured from September 1, 2026. And then as you'll note, the fire department was created in 1968. We don't have anyone that's been here since 68.
Almost, Bill.
Yeah. We have a couple, I mean, on the list, there's some, 25 plus year employees in fire, I guess we can say that, but we won't identify who those are. Police is not that much. Police was formed in 1969, but I think the longest tenured employee that we have in the police department right now is about 6 years, right? 5, yeah. I used to laugh for a long time. Austin was the longest tenured employee in the police department. At one point or another, I gave him a cane. He's since moved on. But we have some employees who have been, here 5 years in certain areas. We have some that have, we have a couple 15-year employees, and then we have some 20+ year employees that are coming in. So there is some potential interest or opportunity for some of those employees. But again, it's offered to all of them. If you've been here for a year, you could get a month of healthcare and opt for the severance if that was your choice. And then I noted years of service would be rounded up with. It actually should be equal or greater than 0.51 months considered as a full month for payout purposes. So I caught that this morning when I was looking at it.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We can say equal or greater than 0.51
Ah,
rather than greater than 0.51. This is the engineer mathematician in me, sorry. Engineer mathematician means I'm really still bad at math, but I consider myself good at math. The following guidelines would then be proposed. It's available to all district employees to meet the fair employment practices offered with no encouragement or discouragement. There is no specific action that the district would take based on any employees accepting or not accepting the offer. So there's no retaliation if you take it. There's no retaliation if you don't take it. No celebrating if you take it. No celebrating if you don't take it. I guess we can go both ways. And then there are no specific action plans that the district is taking for budgeting based on any employee actions. So really we're looking to see if there's an opportunity to cut expenses. This would be one way to be able to do it, would be this buyout offer. We might have employees that are interested in take it. We might have no employees that are interested in take it. Based on employees that do take it, we would then have the option as to what we would want to do. We have no specific plans. That could be, we have an employee that takes it, we might then just say, well, we're going to rehire that, and we can decide when we would go through a hiring process, and that could involve some, basically that could involve some period of time where we keep a rec open or a head open, or it could mean an immediate rehire. Again, no choices, or based on the employees that take it and looking at it, that would give any of the chiefs or the administrator the option to reorganize if there was a capability. But again, per the magic 8-ball reply hazy, ask later. The proposal is let's put this out on the table. The feeling would be if we did decide on it next month, it would be offered starting after the board meeting next month next month is January, to the end of February would be a decision point. So that's the summary of the deal. Are there questions or comments on the terms, or questions and comments on the process?
Does it set a precedence
In what way?
in future, this, we're gonna get, no?
No, not really. You can't, My comment when we were first talking about this is, this is something that happens very often in private sector jobs. But the joke in the private sector is we're only going to offer this to you one time until we offer it next year. I think in this case, what we're looking at is this something we would want to do? And if we did it, we would probably not do this again. But I think you said Ben's done this a couple of times.
Ben's done it, the county's done it before. I mean, it's been done.
Federal government
Yeah.
does it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so I mean, it just, yeah, it's done, it's not, you're not setting any precedents whatsoever, so.
Except the wild card in here is the payout of the medical, which, let's say January 1 through September 1, September, whatever it was. What is the upper end cost for the highest type employee approximately?
Yep. So I've done a whole cost analysis
But you just did.
based on, and I've just assumed a 6% increase
Yeah.
in healthcare costs starting July 1, 2026. And there are only 3 employees, I think, that go to a year 3 if this was provided. So I've got a whole breakdown that I'd be happy to share with you, but it's.
Give me a ballpark of what the high end one individual, the highest individual was to leave when first available.
Sure. Probably $80,000 is what we looked at
Total over the,
total
over
over the 3 years.
But if you,
What you're saving by the person, I get that. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to see whether like one individual or starting point.
So I'd be happy to email out that spreadsheet after
Send
the,
me that, please.
I can email it to the.
probably rather than emailing it out, I would suggest if anybody wants to look at it, that they go and look at it in his office.
My experience with voluntary severance programs, there are often caps so that entire departments don't leave or entire, so that the take-up rate is not excessive to usually the financial implications or to the department's function. Is something like that envisioned?
It's a good question.
Good point.
you can put whatever parameters you want on it.
Yeah.
It's typically the way that I've seen it done is if you are interested in this, you may opt in by this date, and we will tell you if we accept the opt-in. The opt-in would have to be done probably by date of reception, and then with some type of cost cap that we monitor.
Could we limit it by this is available to 2 positions or 3 positions?
No. That's where fair employment would bite us. So we have to offer it without condition to everybody, or we have to offer it to no one. Now, realistically, I mean, just playing the game a little bit, there are employees that have significantly more incentive than others. There are some employees that have been here for a year, and a month's worth of salary in a dicey, job environment out there isn't necessarily the best incentive to take this and run, although that option exists. There are other employees that have been around for a significant period of time, and this could mean, a big 5-figure payout effectively in terms of insurance coverage for them. So there are variable incentives based on it, but that is permissible within the parameters that we're putting in.
So a lot of these will come with a $20,000 buyout coupled with that. So if you have no takers, and we're talking about budget, is there been talk of, okay, do we add an financial incentive in there besides the medical?
I'm sorry to interject. There's also the buyout for VIBA for sick leave. So if you take this option and you do resign from the district with this incentive, then as part of their package, there is a buyout. They can sell their sick leave back depending on who you are, up to $11,000 or $15,000. And then there is the sellout of all of your vacation time. So this is just the cost for this portion of that. And then whenever any employee leaves, and if you're talking about employees that have been here for many years, those sellout selling those out could be substantial costs.
We did, that's a good point. And so there, again, there's a lot of incentive to certain employees. And that is not variable. I mean, there's a lot of employees that have been here for a while that, have bought down, or that have already bought down vacation and sick and wouldn't see as much of a payout. There's some other people that have a fair amount in the tank. And so maybe, having a couple of years in, getting a payout to the end of the year, or getting a medical insurance to the end of the year, plus a chunk of cash to go do something might be an incentive.
I guess what I'm saying is I'd really like to see the cost analysis, because I'm sure that some of that's in there.
Yeah. And my general encouragement would be just go do that in Mindy's office rather than, send that out. And it's not that there's anything that makes me nervous in that, but, even if we redact a lot of information there as well, this employee has been here for this number of years, that's pretty easy to suss out. It's just easier to go look and not have that sitting in permanent archives. Good point. And everybody knows where Mindy lives. General opinions on this. Is this something, and again, we're not voting, but is there, let's put it this way, is there a strong objection from anyone to formalizing this and deliberating on it? We don't have to vote on it next month. We can revise this, formalize it, and choose to wait again. But we would, if we're talking a September 1, we probably want to make sure that the terms are out and that people are considering this sooner rather than later. But in the next couple of months, we would need a vote. We certainly don't have enough info to vote on it today. I'd also like this to, we're talking about it in a public meeting so that if somebody has some opinions on it, they can get them to us in the intervening time, and then we can deliberate on something more formal next month. Is that amenable to everybody?
My only concern is a potential for operational capability interference if we had too many people try to take it up. That's why I was asking about caps. Theoretically, we could damage the operational capabilities of our department or departments. These aren't such large departments. If you have, a couple people.
I put that to the chiefs in terms of as structured, do you have a concern? And we can put a little more restrictions around it, but do you have, just knowing what you know about your departments, do you have significant concerns about that?
No, I mean, I don't have any concerns per se. Obviously, I'm the largest of the two. Would be obviously it'd be, if there's going to be an one side, I mean, we potentially have more people take it, but I don't.
But you don't have concerns.
I don't have concerns.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I don't have any concerns about it impact operations, at least from
No, it's a very good point though, Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from an administrator standpoint,
And I
you
think,
basically only have one in your department. So if she decides that she's going to take it, she won't care where it goes.
Yeah, I could take it.
No, you would be the only.
If you feel like, hey, it's the first 4 people that sign up or something. I just don't know how that works, but I mean, you can put any guidelines,
I'm going to say, I think
numbers on it you want.
I'd like to revisit that because that's a good question.
Yeah.
That needs some guardrails somehow.
I'll work with you and the chiefs to massage that when we put it into the formal proposal.
I mean, you can,
You often lose some very experienced people because they maybe have the most to gain, they're maybe closest to retirement, that it's more material for them. And sometimes there's a knowledge gap that's difficult to fill with new people. So just.
There's a knowledge gap. I mean, but depending on who takes it, and you talk about seniority or opportunities, that also provides opportunities within the departments for potential promotions from within.
So many benefits. Totally get that. I was worried about a downside.
Any additional questions or comments on this? All right, we will move on. We are on to November 2025 unaudited financials.
I feel like I beat the dead horse. Like I've talked about these every day.
Yeah. This is We just heard we don't like the red.
We don't like red.
We need to change those up.
Yeah. So I think it's more of a, we have a formula that we're looking to do for next month. So stay tuned. So anyway, just real briefly, because we have gone through this as a team quite a bit this week, but revenue, we're starting to see a lot of our taxes come in. So that's great. So you'll see that property tax collection is right around 90%. I'm hoping that's more around 95% by the end of next month. Just to go down through a couple to highlight is you'll see that the miscellaneous income police has quite a bit of money in there. That's because we received a payment from Deschutes County for roughly 63,000 because per ORS, if there's a police officer that's left within 3 years of us sending the county, we get or the academy, we get a portion of reimbursement back, and we have that. And so I'm just working to figure out the best route on how to do it because we've not done that before. And so
We've done it before, it's just been a few years.
quite a few years. So just like Conflag, the thought process is to keep resources and expenses, especially because this dollar amount spans a few fiscal years. So that's why that increase is there. But I will report back next month if there's a better practice in absorbing those funds. Also miscellaneous income district, that's where all the Social Security payments came back from the IRS from fixing all those payroll taxes. Let's see. And then to go down, levy proceeds for 717, second from the bottom, just like up above, we're receiving that with tax collections. So all in all, resources were very strong for our mid-year assessment.
SSD Christmas.
Yes.
Remember.
Then to go to police department, we're at 41.67 or so percent through the year. So there's a couple of them that are just a hair over that. Workers' comp, we've already mentioned that's a one-time payment, but overall, both of them are way below budget for the year. There's been some cost savings there. So we'll start to see a difference there as we get staff by materials and services, same with the police side. Overall, just a hair above budget, but a lot of that's due to one-time costs with contracts that come in at the beginning of the fiscal year, and then also just one-time, printing. Everybody had to get new business cards when .gov, things like that were one-time costs. So nothing I don't think of concern on the M&S side for police. If there's no questions, I'll move on to fire. Same thing, personnel and benefits, right on track there, right on budget. There is another document that shows that breakdown of the conflag for the overtime. So that overtime line item includes the reimbursement we get for overtime for the conflagration fires. So that number is even less, but overall just right on track with personnel for fire. And then if you go down materials and services, fire is well below budget when it comes to materials and services. Here's a couple line items that are a little higher, but that's due to just some unforeseen vehicle R&M and then some special supplies that were needed. But overall, the entire budget is much less than where it should be at this point. Bike patrol, like we've talked about, it spans 2 different fiscal years. So we're going into the season of late May and June. So the amount of monies needed to finish out that program for this fiscal year are much less. So it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's on budget, but there's plenty of funds there to complete the task that Chief Rassick has in the goals, and there shouldn't be any concerns there to move forward with an under budget for that program. And then administrative, you'll see there's been some cost savings for the executive assistants. So like I said, Rachel will start the 1st of January, so you'll start to see some changes there. So the personnel is under budget due to those savings. There's a few items there that are a little over, but overall the M&S for the district admin portion of the budget is under. You'll see a couple of them are just a hair over, but that's just the utilities, and we did our best guess as the first year in the new building as to what those will be. So we might have some adjustments for that for the coming year. And then to move down to the 716 fund, Fire received all the equipment that they put in for, and those invoices have been paid. There's a current vehicle for fire that's going through the upfitting process, so there's going to be still some invoices coming in. And then police has ordered all of their suppressors. Is that the name of them?
Correct.
And I say silencers sometimes, and he's quick to correct me. They're not silencers.
They're not silent. They still go bang.
But so those should come in soon, and then a corresponding invoice. So I just make sure that they all come in under budget when we go to pay it. And then public safety, once again, this is November financials, so the adjustment didn't go through till December. So next December, you'll see those changes as well as the invoices that we approved today. But overall, that budget is right on point. But the problem is that's not really the best way to look at that budget, because that includes the loan for the payment, which that will be coming, and different factors. So our budget adjustment should capture all the other pieces to make that more on track with what we actually think we're going to spend for the year. And then if you go down below, you'll just see that the expense category summary for each fund. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that 715 as a total is at about 37%. So that's well below the 41% marker, and then the other funds accordingly. And then the last page is where we had those reimbursements for conflict. We've gotten a couple checks in. Those were not necessarily reflected in these financials because they came in December. Primarily, Helene came in from the federal government in December. So we'll see that as income for December when those financials come. But you'll see the contract fire OT and the regular OT as separated out. And when you just take the regular OT for just staffing and divide that out with budget, then that OT line item is at about 28%. So well below budget for where we need to be. So right now, I think we're all looking very good, especially for being almost halfway through the year. Any questions?
For Chief Rossick, what is your vision for bike patrol? 6 members here. Sounds like you were very satisfied with that.
I think 6 would be amazing. And I think that we came in well under budget provided we had 6. If I can get 6 again, and if it makes sense from a monetary standpoint, I will absolutely do that. That has yet to be determined.
I'd like to maybe share.
Top quality candidates.
Yes, like I said, I was so happy. You guys have all heard me say it. I was so very happy with how they did this summer. That again, if we can duplicate that, I think it'd be fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the November 2025 unaudited financials.
I move to approve the November 2025 financials as presented.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. I'll flip it around. Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Dr. Zook?
Yes.
Director Stevens?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes. All right, we don't really have an item 10 this month because because of our offset, but any news from SROA that we should be aware of? Okay.
I'll learn more tomorrow.
All right. And we can address at this point. All right, is there any other business to come to the board? I have one item. But I'll entertain others before that. Actually, I have 2 items. First item is, and this is, let me find something to fall on. We're not necessarily out of contract with Chief Boos, but we are delinquent in renewing his contract. He actually provided a couple minor updates to me, what seems to be eons ago, that's been sitting in my inbox. So next month, we will have a revised contract for Chief Boos for everyone to view. And approve my signature for the board. So just an announcement on that, but we love our fire chief and we want to make sure that he's content and happy here with this contract.
You're not taking the buyout, are you?
Uh-huh.
I'm not allowed to ask.
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm busy in math right now.
Yeah,
I'm a budget guru.
engineer math.
Nut, huh?
And then just another thing, I'm actually queuing off of something that Director Stevens asked, I can't remember when. But it would, business cards I'm not real high on, although we could get a generic business card that says, Sun River Service District Board or something, and we could write our names in. But it wouldn't be bad to have name
Yes.
tags.
That's on the very substantial to-do list for Rachel Pop when she
Yeah.
starts January 5th.
Okay.
So I think it would be lovely to have name badges.
Yeah, we meet with quite a few members of the public.
Yeah.
And I would like to as well. I mean, I don't have a uniform and stuff.
Yeah.
I want a uniform.
I don't need a name tag.
Everybody.
I was thinking about it the other day when I opened up the center console on my car, because I literally have a stack of name tags this thick with, various boards and other things. But it is worthwhile to, if, it would have been nice for me to have that the other day at the lodge event, just to say Service District Board.
But we can always put the offer out there to do a small print order for business cards if a board member would like them as well.
I'm not particularly interested in any more business cards, but,
No
like I said, yeah.
No more.
But for instance, some of us might be going to the SDAO conference and meeting other agencies, and you're not, giving them your name tag, you would be giving them a business
Yeah.
card.
So we can figure something like that out if necessary.
No.
I'm gonna use your business card.
John.
Go steal them.
I got plenty of business cards. My name's not on them.
It was always the fun prank to borrow somebody's business card and then put that in the business card drawing for something that they definitely did not. We will not relay any specific stories because the statute of limitations is not expired in all
But
cases.
then they get emails for the next 30 years.
Right. I'll tell you another one when we're not recording. All right, any other business to come in front of the board? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No? Good. Director?
Yeah.
Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Director Zoo?
Yep.
Director Stevens?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Merry Christmas. Happy